And we are live. All right, welcome everyone. Today we are going to be talking about something that is not necessarily near and dear to my heart, but it is extremely interesting. And that is the use of AI to create rapid release nonfiction books. Now, when I say nonfiction, I am not referring to memoirs. I've kind of become the memoir lady. I'm not really sure how that happened, but I do work with a lot of memoirs. But the nonfiction that we're going to be talking about today is informational nonfiction. So if this is a self-help book, if this is a business book, kind of like an instructional book where you're motivating somebody or teaching them a skill or kind of leading them down the path of life change, like that's the kind of nonfiction we're talking about today. We're not really talking about telling your life story and, hoping people take something away from it. Nonfiction and rapid release nonfiction is a different beast, which is why when I'm working with nonfiction authors, their price point is different. The kind of the way we communicate is different. And I don't do a lot of nonfiction material here on my channel, but there is a big market for it, particularly for people whose full-time job isn't actually an author. The book is more like merch for them. So when this company called BookBud, BookBud AI reached out to me and they said, hey, we've got a new product and we would like you to review it. Would you consider it? And when I looked at what they offered, I realized, oh, you're offering kind of something very similar to what I offer. And it's for a lot cheaper. So I was very, very curious. I wanted to know exactly why or exactly what they were offering. And so I fired it up. They gave me enough credits. They did not pay me for this review, by the way. They did give me enough credits so that I could produce an AI book, but they didn't pay me or anything like that to kind of get my impressions of it. And I was very curious. I want to see how it's aligned with what I offer in terms of my AI rapid release nonfiction offering. And I wanted to see how it differed and what the end product is, because that's what matters, right? That's what you're delivering to the customer. And if you're going to be giving straight AI content to a customer, you want to know what it looks like. So that's what we're going to be looking at today. We're going to be going through the process of what it's like to use BookBud. What is the interface like? What do you have to come to the table with? How it kind of works. Then we're going to be looking at the price point, what packages they offer, so you know whether it's right for you or not. And then we're going to be looking at the output. So you will get to see actually what it generates with no touch-ups from anybody. It's just what the AI spits out. So that's what we're going to do today. So let me bring up my screen here. Oh, no, that's too small. There we go. That's better. Alrighty. So this is the logo, BookBud AI, and their tagline is create books with AI for publication. So the whole thing that makes this different from ChatGPT is it's not designed to spit out a paragraph for you. It's not designed to give you a page. This is designed to give you an ebook. And so they've kind of built in everything involved that you can get for it. So everything that you need for Amazon, everything that you need to distribute it, they want to bring that to the table. So it's a very good idea, honestly. It's like the idea of all-inclusive tools. I'm here for it. I love that this is a thing. This is what I offer. Okay. And this is what got me very curious. So I offer Book in a Box AI, and the appeal of Book in a Box AI that I offer is that it's quicker. That's it. It does cost less. So, I charge for nonfiction, I charge 15 cents per word if I'm writing it for you. Now, when I say I'm writing it, I don't use AI in my ghostwriting at all. That is part of our contract. I'm not using it. But you do have the option, if you don't want to wait 3 to 6 months for your book and you're like, look, this is an entry-level product. It doesn't need to be Shakespeare. I just need to get it out. Then I do offer the AI offering, and it's a book in a box. Basically, you get everything. You get the cover, you get the keywords, you get the blurb, you get the AI generated text, and then you also get me editing it and rephrasing it on top of it. So you don't have to worry about that ChatGPT sound. So for 20,000 words, I charge 2,000. For 40,000 words, I charge 4,000. It's significantly less than I would charge you for those word counts if I was writing the text myself. But it's still, that's still a chunk of change. And you have to know what your ROI is going to be if you order that from me. It's not something that you just want to do on a whim. So that's what I offer. Their pricing tier, and I also have their offerings over here on the screen, is much, much less. So if you only need 20,000 words, let's see, you would need at least the King package. So the first line is the characters per month. I can't calculate characters. That's weird. So the second row is about how many words per month you can generate on this plan. The free plan, you only get 2,500 words that you can generate. The Hemingway, you get about 33,000, that's good. So that's a whole ebook. So you would need to pay $30 a month. And that would get you, one ebook a month. And I hope, depending on what's going on, you probably won't need more than one book a month. But if you are working with other people, or if you're going to be generating them fast and furious, then they have these other plans. And by the way, this also includes your words per month is not finished words per month. This is like, if you don't like what it generated for you and you want it to regenerate, that goes towards your word count, just so you're aware. So you have these other plans. You have the Rowling, the King, and the Patterson. I don't know who would ever want to use the Patterson, but it would probably be like on a business level, like if you were into making pre-made content for other authors, like maybe you would want that plan. But that's a pretty big plan, and I don't know anybody who would want to use that just for their own business. All of the price tiers, all of them, have the same benefits over here. They use ChatGPT 4 Turbo. They create the files that you need. So if you're going to distribute it yourself through EPUB or Mobi or PDF, they have that. So if you sell it on Gumroad, they also give you guidance on how to get it up onto Amazon. If you want an AI generated audiobook, they help you with that as well. They do print. They will do formatting. It does have an extra cost, but formatting is very important, especially for nonfiction. They do suggest keywords. They do suggest categories. They generate an AI generated description. And then they give you publishing instructions, which is very helpful. A lot of like Amazon and KDP is pretty user friendly, honestly. But if you're new to it, you probably would benefit from these instructions. So it's good that they do that. And then they do offer book promotion options. Again, that's an extra cost, and they let you know how to do that. So if you want to set up like a sales funnel, or if you have a Shopify store or whatever, they do help you with that, which is what they mean when they say all inclusive. That is for all price tiers. The only difference in the price tiers is how many words per month you get. So I went through the whole process, and it is several steps. And so I went with a very general concept when it came to creating my fake ebook. So it's basically an entrepreneurial ebook. How do you succeed in business, and what obstacles will you encounter, and how do you overcome them? Because a lot of people want to know about entrepreneurialism. They look at the workforce today and they say, no, thank you. But they don't know any entrepreneurs. They kind of want to get a high level overview. So this is kind of what it looks like. You've got your step one. It's the basic information. Who is the reader? This is just a snapshot, but they ask you several questions. What is the book? Who am I making it for? And then you can, pick out which type of format you want to do. Then it generates titles for you based on what you entered in step one. And they give you a lot of them. So in this case, we have 25. The titles they're generic, but don't let that stop you. For nonfiction titles, honestly, it's very SEO driven. So anything before the colon can be more creative. You can make it whatever you want. It's after the colon that you want like the SEO stuffed keywords, so that when people are searching for what they want to read, your book comes up. So you have different options here. And you can just pick the one that you like. Braving the business world, an entrepreneurial challenge. I don't think that's great. I wouldn't particularly choose that one. Just above, start strong, building your own empire. That's a pretty good one. That says what it's about. Number one, igniting startup spirit, a guide for budding entrepreneurs. It's not bad SEO wise. It sounds kind of like a dadism, kind of lame. It's like, let's have our spirit, you guys, like those forced fun corporate things they make you go to. That wouldn't be my favorite. It's just a matter of choosing which one you like or tweaking it yourself. You can, pick one and then alter it yourself. So they do give you creativity. You're not stuck with what the AI generates for you. Step three is kind of choosing, you're entering information about your book. They want to know what the goal is. And that's going to guide them through every chapter that they generate for you. And my favorite part of this is when you select the tone of the book, and you can choose up to 3. Again, this is just a snapshot. The screen goes on for quite a while. The bottom half of the screen is kind of, for me, it seemed more targeted towards fiction. But the top half, it's like, well, what are you going for? Are you going for sarcastic, or are you going for more poetic? I recently created a nonfiction book for a client, and, this is a bespoke product, no AI involved, but I got the tone totally wrong on the first, thing that I made for him, because, he generates kind of sarcastic newsletters. So I went with that for the book, and he was like, no, I want this to be very formal. This is a totally different audience I'm reaching with the book versus the newsletter. So I was, I was very glad he told me that. I kind of wish that I'd gotten that up front, because tone is very important. So it's good that this program asks you that. How close they get to the tones you select, ooh, that's another issue. Next, we have the layout of the chapters. So they show you the table of contents. And again, you can edit this. So they're going to generate one just what they think is right. If you don't like the order of the chapters, if you don't like what is a chapter versus what is a section, if you don't like the title of it, if you think some topic that they include just doesn't belong in the book. So like for chapter 2, embracing open-mindedness, if you're like, ew, I don't care about open-mindedness, go away. Shh. You can delete that. So this can be adjusted based on what you want it to look like. Next, you're setting the length. And this is really important when you're dealing with a book, because if you've ever tried to write a report, write a long tweet, kind of anything lengthy on ChatGPT, they're getting real stingy with that word count, aren't they? It's like, okay, give me 1,500 words on XYZ, and they're going to try and slip and slide 500 words. It's like, bro, you think I can't count? Please continue generating text. They're so stingy, and I don't know why. This is designed for a book length work. And so it doesn't even pretend that 500 words is enough. It's like, okay, here's your introduction. This is based on the table of contents that you just approved on the last screen. How many paragraphs do you want it to be? Or you can select how many words you want it to be. And for this one, it automatically generated, chapter 1, it started off with a 1-paragraph intro to the chapter. If you don't like that idea, if you just want it to go straight into the chapter without, bifurcating it into sections, you have the freedom to do that here. So that's basically what this is. And you can decide what's at the chapter level and what's the subsection of each chapter. So you do have some freedom in how the layout goes. The next one is proofing and generating the text. So it just shows you everything that you've approved, and you're going to come over here on the left, and that little nozzle, you're just going to, if you want the AI to generate it, you're going to go ahead and slide it to the right. The reason they have these is because you're generating, if you generate it again, say you don't like chapter 1, but you're good with all of the other chapters. If you want it to regenerate chapter 1 again, you can just have it regenerate chapter 1. You don't have to have it regenerate the whole book every time. And that way you can conserve the books that you have, or the words per month that you have. You don't feel like you have to waste regenerating text that you're actually pretty pleased with. So you can do this on a chapter and section per basis, how many times you want it to generate once you're happy with it. Step 7 is the actual generation of the text. So I didn't take a screenshot. When you look at it, you read it, you can edit the text in the actual thing that it shows you. And I'm going to show you the text that it generated at the end here. I'm just going through the steps. Once you're happy with the text, once you've edited it, if you feel like you need to edit it or move things around, then you generate your keywords. Now, these keywords are generated by the AI. They don't do anything like Publisher Rocket, where they show you, oh, well, this one's really competitive and this one's really not. They don't do any of that. They just do it based on kind of what the AI has generated. It has nothing to do with how well it's going to sell, if it's going to take you to number 1, nothing like that. It's just like, okay, well, this is relevant. These are the keywords that are relevant, and you can keep them or you can scrap them depending on, what you think people will be searching for. The same thing with your categories. These categories are actually really great. They're broad. So they don't get down to the nitty gritty like sometimes Amazon categories are, much more granular than, say, Kobo's categories. these are just your broad scale categories. You need at least 3, never go below 3. And so if there's 2 here where you're just like, not happy with it, and you can kind of decide what you're going for there. Then we want to generate our description, and it's the same thing. So they come up with the title of your, and this is not the title of the book. This is the title of your blurb, and you can use this for your Amazon page. You can use this for the back flap of the book if you're producing a hard copy. I wasn't thrilled. As you can see, this doesn't read like a blurb. I mean, how many times have you read the back of a book and they sit there and take you chapter by chapter? So this AI generated description was, for me, not the new hotness. If this was a book I was actually producing, I would have had them regenerate this multiple times. I probably would have had to do a lot of tweaking to it. And the phrasing is just very, I was not thrilled with the summary. We'll just say that. This wasn't something that was Amazon ready, not even close. And ChatGPT actually does really well. Like if you specify this is for my Amazon book page, the way that they come up with the format, at least, you might not like the phrasing, but the format of it is actually spot on. So this needs some work. Then you can order the book cover. And the fact that they allow you to do the book cover, and this is, every time you see this more details below the step, there's a how-to video contained within that. And that's really handy as well, because sometimes you feel lost. You don't know what buttons to push. And so, again, these are AI generated. So maybe you'll like it, maybe you won't, but it does give you several iterations that you can choose from. And then the final step is you're generating your ebook files. And you can choose what format you want. PDF, EPUB, Mobi. If you're uploading into Amazon, you probably want to do the PDF because you cannot upload Mobis or EPUBs when you're uploading directly to Amazon. So you have those available to you. And then, of course, you can sell any of those yourself. If you have Gumroad, if you have a store, if you have a Shopify store, anything, those are the formats that you want to use. Now the question, the $1 million question that everybody wants to know, how does it read? What does it read like before anybody touches it? So this is what I got from the introduction. Okay. And this is very indicative to what was produced for the rest of it as well. So I produced about 20,000 words, and it was in accordance with the table of contents that you saw. It's not bad. However, I was very interested. So if you look at the second paragraph, you see, double underline with the words. That is because that's a grammar error. Born in circumstance less than ideal. It should, of course, be circumstances. I don't often see spelling and grammar errors in AI generated text. So that kind of caught my attention. So I'm honestly wondering what works they used to be the source data for the LLM. I'm kind of curious about that, actually, because that really caught my attention. As you can see, this first sentence, I'm not here to spin you a fairy tale. That's an error. Of rags to riches. Let's be clear about that. Also an error. That should not be a comma. Instead, I present you a gritty tale, my tale. This is, it's bad. It's bad phrasing. It's a narrative about resilience, tenacity, and dire passion to overcome adversity and succeed. That's not a terrible sentence. The only question is in terms of who the author is and how they speak. Is that how they speak? Is that the way that they would want to present themselves? So that's not a bad or even a good sentence. It's a neutral sentence. It all just depends on who the author of the book is and how they want to come off to their readers. So you can read this for yourself and decide if you think it's good. If this was a book that I was putting out, or if this was a book for a client of mine that they ordered from me, absolutely not. We would be rephrasing all of this. But that's kind of okay for me. When I use AI, it is with the understanding that what gets kicked out initially, that's not a finished product ever for me. But the point of this software is that it should be, and it can be. So very little work is required of you. All you have to do is push a few buttons and you have a finished book. Quality is the eternal question for me. That's kind of my brand. It's like what you get from me will be quality, even if it's initially AI generated. But for me, this would not be acceptable, but maybe it would be for you, depending on how you speak and communicate and kind of the image that you are wanting to produce. Going through the pros and cons of BookBud. Okay. So I already said this is specific to books. You don't have to worry about ChatGPT or any other the free programs just deciding, okay, well, you asked me a question and you prompted very clearly, but I'm only going to give you 600 words. So there. So annoying. It is less expensive. Obviously, it's less expensive than going to a ghostwriter for bespoke product. It is less expensive than going to me for going to an AI generated but heavily edited product. It's just less expensive. So if this is something quick that you need to put out for, kind of a broad thing and you don't want to spend a lot of money, this is a good option. Obviously, it is quicker. You can have this done in the day. The interface is very good. It was very easy. I did not have to watch any of the how-to videos that were included. But if you do find yourself getting lost, they are there. So you don't have that mystery of, am I doing this right? What's going on? What's next? I like that they had those videos in there for those who feel like they need a little extra hand-holding through the process. I also like that it allows changes. AI generated text is not, it's not a science. It doesn't come out really great a lot, like as we saw. So it allows you to manually go in there and change it. Like, oh, I don't like that sentence. We're going to change that. Or it allows you to insert your personal anecdotes. It's like, okay, these paragraphs are great. And right in between these paragraphs, I'm going to slide, my personal hardscrabble life of growing up in a trailer park. It allows you to do that. So you get the book that you want at the end. The cons, it's general content. So, if we're talking about very specific, ungoogleable information that you as an industry expert have, this is not the lead magnet for you. This is not going to be the way that you generate your magnum opus that is going to convince people to fork over thousands of dollars to buy your course or get in your consulting program. This is not the tool for you because it's very general content. So you want to make sure that what you're doing is you're taking Googleable information and you're compiling it all in one place. So this is a convenience product. It is not a life-changing product. As we saw, for me, robot sounding input, it's a robot. There's no getting away from that. There is no website you can go to. There is no, oh, it's the special kind of GPT that sounds like a human. No, that doesn't exist yet. Maybe it will one day, but it doesn't right now. So you saw what it sounds like, and it doesn't necessarily sound like a real human person, and it probably doesn't sound like you. So, and there's no human editing. So it's not like you can say, okay, well, I'm done with my book, and then it goes to a human editor and they edit it for you. That's not part of their all-inclusive process because that's not AI. That's that's a human being. So then if you wanted it edited, and I do that, by the way, I do get a lot of clients like, hey, I AI generated the book. Can you make it not sound like it's AI? And so that's like, I call that an expanded developmental edit when I get those. It is a slightly higher rate because there's a lot of rewriting involved. But I do offer that as well. I don't generate the text for you, but I do edit the AI generated text that you created. And a lot of editors do too. And that's I think, if I'm looking into the future, that's going to be a big portion of a lot of editors' work, where their client will say, hey, I used Pseudowrite to generate a novel, or I used BookBud to generate a nonfiction book. Can you make this better? Can you make it readable? So that's a good skill to have. Oh yeah, and no category keyword quality check. Okay, so they give you the categories, they give you the keywords, they give you the blurb, but there's no way to know. It's like, is this a saturated category? Is this something I shouldn't even be bothering in because no one will ever find it on Amazon? Or is it more niche where I'll be more easily found? How many sales do I need to get a bestseller? It doesn't tell you any of that. You're going to have programs like Publisher Rocket is the one that I use for my clients. So when I hand you that metadata, when I hand you that SEO optimized blurb, when I hand you those keywords, and when I hand you that those categories, it's going to be with the function of making sure you are more easily found on Amazon, and that it will take fewer sales to get you to number one. Yeah, it's a vanity metric, but it works. Okay. So if you have number one bestseller on your sales copy, that works. Even if the purchaser knows, oh, well, it's just in this really niche category, whatever, it still works. It's like Stockholm syndrome. It works on you, even if you know what's happening to you. I have no explanation for this. It just does. I've been working with a lot of copywriters lately as my clients, and I feel like I'm charging them money to learn from them, like as they tell me about their products. So, it's good business if you can get it. And I would recommend this product, honestly, but in very limited scopes. Like I said, if you are an expert and you have expert knowledge, and you can't just Google this stuff, that this is not for you. But if you are making a lead magnet for a course or an e-com, yes, this is absolutely good for you. So my oldest friend, we've known each other since 8th grade. She is into woo science, I call it. It's just like the hippy dippy, healing generational trauma and finding your heart center, and very kind of like yoga-esque, and essential oils. And there's a device where it like gives you electric shocks, and it like does something to your spirit. I don't know any of that stuff. I love her. She is wonderful. But if she wanted to create a book for her business, it's that energy healing thing, which is kind of pricey, a front end product for her would be this book, and it would explain what the product does. It would explain, the kind of philosophy behind it. It's like, okay, your third eye isn't lined up, or whatever the hell. You can tell that I don't practice this stuff, but she would want to explain it. And this is all available with the AI, because this is all kind of like that woo science that's out there, The Secret and whatnot. So it's all there, and it's just compiling it in one spot. And then it's also the sales copy for the product that she's selling. It's like, okay, here's how it works. And here's how it works with what I've told you before. This would be a great lead magnet for that kind of business. So if you are, an e-com person, even if you're, God forbid, if you're in an MLM and you want to tell people about your products and why they're important and why they're better than the stuff that you can get at Walmart, this is a good medium for that. And it won't cost you as much money. It's a good bonus for newsletter subscribers. So if you have, your regular newsletter content, and you want to do something to reward your premium content subscribers. So like for me, I have some paid newsletter subscribers, and I have some free ones. If I want to, reward the premium subscribers, I'm like, okay, well, here's an ebook on, selling a lot of copies through your Shopify store. It's like, because I cater to authors. So something like that, you want it to be like a fact-based thing that's kind of like extra information for them in one little copy. That would be great too. Filler content. You don't necessarily have to take the book that they generate for you and have that be its own package. You can have them generate 20,000 words for you. And those 20,000 words will be in addition to the ebook you've already written, that's highly personalized, that's bespoke to whatever you're doing. And then you're like, oh, well, I'm talking about detectives, and I want to know, I want to write 2 chapters on the history of the constabulary in London in 1800s. Okay, this would be a good option for those chapters. And then the rest of the book is your genuine writing. So that's an option as well. It doesn't necessarily have to be a complete package. You can use what's generated here and put it in a book you're already working on. And then free ebooks or booklets at a live event. I'm a big fan of giving these away for free, because obviously it's not tippy top quality. I would feel, based on if I left it just as the AI generated it, I would kind of feel like a jerk face for taking money for that. Or at least a lot of money. Like if it was a 99-cent book or a $1.99 book, cool. Like, I don't think but if you're going to try and sell it like a premium product and it's not, that's messed up. But if you sell these or give them away, so it's like if you're at a convention, or if you're at one of those LinkedIn things that they do where it's like, hello, I'm a tax attorney and here's my free booklet. Something to kind of tout your business, something to kind of educate the consumer and let them know that you're an expert on whatever it is you do. This would be a great resource for that. I have absolutely no problem with that. And I think it would really speed things up. And leading up to these live events, it can be really stressful. Honestly, I used to do a lot of cons, and just making sure that you have all of your stuff is so stressful. And just so having that easy thing to hand out to people who come to your table can be a big load off your shoulders. And the fact that you can generate it in a day, very appealing. And that is it for the slides. Like I say, I do recommend it for some things. I don't recommend it for other things. Whether or not you are going to use this for your nonfiction is entirely up to you. And I do want to say to fiction authors, nonfiction, free nonfiction or very low cost nonfiction that kind of steers people to your fiction is also an option. So I had a client and she wrote, what's the good word for them? Dirty fairy tales. And she got a lot of questions from her readership. What made you write this particular type of book? And so she did create with AI kind of a nonfiction rundown of dirty fairy tales. And, she talked about Anne Rice's, dipping her toe in them way back in the day, and kind of the uphill battle against it. And then she inserted her own text of what specifically brought her to it. And she did it in a day, and she had it out to her newsletter subscribers the following week. And it didn't interrupt her writing schedule. So, if you want to give bonuses to your existing fan base of your fiction, it might be a good option. So that is BookBud. If you are interested in trying BookBud, as you saw on the price tier, there is a free tier. You don't get a lot of words with the free tier, but it is enough to give you, you can try it out. It can give you a paragraph or two, and you can see, is this something that I want? Is this something that I could use? Do I have a product that's been sitting on the shelf and I haven't done it because I just don't have time to write it? This might be an option for you. And because it's monthly, that's really great. I think you can do it month to month. Hold on. I can't remember. Did they say that they can do it? It might be one of those ones where they bill. I think they, hold on. Let's look. I didn't screenshot it. But I think you can be billed monthly or annually, but that is something to check on. But if you do that, definitely play with it. Okay. Don't just take whatever the text gives you at first. Worst comes to worst, if you generate the book and then you find things that are like, oh, I'm not super pleased with that, you can always hire an editor and you can do whatever level of editing you want. If you want the full rewrite, if you want like the expanded developmental edit, that's going to cost more. If you just want someone to proofread it, that's going to cost a lot less. So, that is an additional layer. But if you're giving these books to prospective customers, and pretty much that is the whole function of them, make sure it's good before you let it out to the world. Make sure that the cover is good. Make sure that the blurb is good, and make sure that when people read it, it is a good representation of you and whatever it is you're trying to sell them on the back end. Okay. So that is my only caveat in terms of, using AI for your nonfiction, because this is a representation of your business and your brand. So that is all I have. If you have any questions or comments about BookBud, by all means, leave them below. I will be happy to answer. And if you want to get in touch with me, if you would rather have a bespoke product with no AI at all, you can get in touch with me and I will ghostwrite that for you happily. Or if you want the best of both worlds with AI and expanded editing for one relatively lower price, you can get in touch with me for that. My link is also in the description. So until next time, take care and write well.